Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Hope you are doing amazingly well. I'm Haley Gray. I'm the group owner in the Women's Entrepreneur Network. If you're not a member of the group, come and join us. We would love to have you. I'm extending a warm welcome to you. I am a digital marketing strategist, and we help small businesses get more clients in their business. It's amazing. And tonight's topic couldn't be more appropriate. I want to thank Meg Campbell for this topic. We are going to be talking about stop trying to be perfect and start being yourself. And I think that that's a really, really awesome topic. If you're on the live, give me a hashtag live, just like Meg did. If you're on the replay, give me a hashtag replay. Let me know that you guys are out there. So this one actually kind of hit a nerve with me because Meg was working on doing a book review, and she did an amazing book review for a friend of ours. And we were talking about what in the world does a traditional book review look like anyway? And she's like, I had to stop and do my own take on it. And what's really cool to me about that is that I remember growing up and always being that odd person out. My dad worked for an international corporation growing up. He worked for Reynolds Aluminum. And every 3.5 years, we would move from one country to the next, to the next, to the next. So when I was 2 months old, we moved to Germany. And then we moved back to the US when I was 11 months old. And then we moved to Venezuela when I was 4. And we moved to Brazil when I was 7. And we moved back to the States when I was 11. And I very much never fit in. And I have to say that the re-entry or the entry into school in the 3rd grade when I moved to Brazil was really rough because I was at an American school, but the kids weren't always kind. So they didn't always speak English around me. I didn't understand what they were saying. It wasn't that they were trying to exclude me, but they were just more comfortable speaking Portuguese. So I had to learn a new language really fast, and I didn't fit in, and I was awkward. I was like seriously awkward. Took me a long time to feel comfortable in my own skin. And I very much tried to be that like perfect student, that perfect kid who fit in, who, looked right, who did right, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward a few years, we moved to the States at the end of 6th grade when I was 11. And the numbers are probably not matching to you. I was a grade ahead of where you would be here in the US for most of the grades. So it was really rough. I moved back to the States at the end of March 31st. And I have very pale skin now, but at the time I came in, I've got dark, kinky, curly hair. I came in very tan in the middle of winter and not speaking English, not understanding the cultural norms and how people were communicating. Y'all, I couldn't even speak Southern. I couldn't even understand what was being said to me by the other kids. I went from Rio de Janeiro and going to an American school, speaking Spanish or Portuguese and English all the time, but very proper English, very normal Midwestern English, and switched to getting dropped into the deep South, into Northern Alabama. And I was a complete fish out of water, like totally. When I say I've always been that girl who's been the outcast, I'm really not kidding. So, the girls weren't kind. They weren't sure whether I was Black. They weren't sure whether I was white. It was when racism was well and alive and truly prevalent in Alabama. They weren't sure what my mother was because my mother is mixed. And, it was really, really tough. And I was trying to, fit in, and I couldn't. because I couldn't understand what the kids were saying, and I couldn't understand the language for probably close to 6 to 8 weeks before I could even understand what people were saying to me due to the difference in the accent. And I spent a lot of time just trying to struggle just to exist. Um, and it was really, really tough. And I, overcompensated by trying to be the most perfect kid in the school, like doing all my assignments on time and all of it. I've always been such a rule follower and always trying to do everything the right way, trying to do it the most perfectly, the bestest, have the best grades in the class, doing all those things. And, it led me through school, going to Auburn in college, and then transferring to NC State after I got married, and always having that drive and that hyper drive and competitiveness, trying to always be more perfect, trying to do better, trying to be better. And what I realized is that in a way it was a form of self-destruction. And Meg says, I spent a month trying to figure out how to nail a technically perfect book review, and then I realized that I just needed to do it instead of trying to be someone else. Absolutely. And I kept trying to be that perfect kid. In high school, I got put in a private school where I didn't fit in. I kept trying to be the perfect kid who got the perfect grades, who did all the perfect things, right? And what I learned, and what I since have learned as an adult, is there is no such thing as perfect. You're never going to be ready. I'm never going to be ready. I'm never going to get things perfectly right. My kids are probably going to hate me at times. And hey, Laura. Laura is one of my kids, and so I'm happy to have you on my live tonight. But it's one of those things where I had to let go of that idea of perfection in my life and in my business in order to start succeeding. A few years ago, when I started doing lives, I was terrified of doing Facebook Lives, absolutely horrified at the idea of doing lives. And, it was kind of like this whole comedy of crazy stuff. Perfection and conforming to social construct is destructive, right? So imagine that I had 4 young kids. About 5 years ago, my oldest would have been 17. My youngest would have been about 8. My back in my office was turned towards the kitchen, and I would have kids come in and hang like tinsel from the doorway while I was doing my lives. Oh, and by the way, if you guys are thinking, I can't do a live because my weight's not ideal, my hair is not ideal, I need to do makeup, I wear glasses. Y'all, when I started doing lives, I had to really give up any idea of ideal because I had kids going every which way. My office was crazy. I weighed over 400 pounds. And that was really, really humbling. I have crazy hair. The crazy hair still has not gone away. It's just shorter. I can't wear very much makeup. I can wear lip color, and that's about it. Almost anything else that's not like microblading or something irritates the daylights out of my skin, and I end up with all kinds of crazy rashes. So makeup for me is a no-go. And oh, by the way, I can't see the monitor unless I'm wearing my glasses. So if you guys see me without my glasses on, understand that you are a wild blur to me, and that I can see the green light from the camera, but I can't actually read anything on the screen. So the glasses are pretty much something that I have to do, and I have to battle with, having ring lights in my glasses. So being perfect, it's a battle, right? We always are fighting against these internal demons and being perfect. And what I've had to learn is that perfection doesn't exist. There is no such thing as perfection. One of the best examples for me about this was when I first went to college, I was in architecture school, and we were talking about measurements and building buildings. And one of the things that you quickly learn is that there are building tolerances. And depending on how big the tolerances are, depends on how far off the builder is willing to be, or the architect is willing to be when building a building. And this is really important because I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that things are always a little bit off center in your house. And if you put a marble on the floor, it's likely going to roll one way or the other. The walls are never perfectly square. And this is because of tolerances. And there is no such thing as perfection in construction. And that started to kind of, like form in my head. And then as a software engineer, I switched my major in college, and I studied computer science. I learned that there basically are no programmers that don't have bugs in them somewhere. So when I hit bugs on software, I'm always laughing because I expect to find them, because I've learned that there is no such thing as perfection in software. And as I go through life, there is no such thing as perfection. It can be amazing. It can be wonderful. It can be all kinds of awesome things, but it is never going to be 100% perfect. And Aida makes the comment, I worry a lot about not being skinny as a health coach. I usually do lives where I can sit down. And that's a really interesting thing to me, because there is this perception, Aida, that health and being thin are the same thing. And one of the things that I have learned is that you can actually be heavier and be extremely healthy, and you can be thinner and be extremely unhealthy, depending on what kinds of, health conditions you have going on. And I have to dare say, I'm probably never going to be super thin. I mean, even though I have lost 175 pounds, which is a lot, I still will probably never get to being 120 pounds again. So there is no perfection. And I mean, how do we define perfect or ideal in any way? What does that really mean? And so when we start looking at that, definition of what is perfection, what does perfection actually mean, and how do we obtain that? It really is an impossible construct. So when we start thinking about doing things in our business, a lot of times there is this pursuit of perfection, trying to get everything perfect, like trying to get the website perfect before you can make the first sale. And I'm going to be honest, trying to get the website perfect before you make the first sale is really a problem in here as much as anything else, because honestly, you don't even need a website to make a sale in most cases. You can actually make a sale if you have a way to take money and you talk to somebody, you agree on the exchange of a good or service for money, and they give you money. They can even give it to you in Venmo or PayPal or whatever, and you perform the service or you ship them the item. There doesn't have to be a website involved. And yet we tie ourselves into this Gumby knot of saying, oh my gosh, I need the website. I need the perfect website. I need all of this stuff, but we don't really need that stuff. We're seeking this level of perfection before we can do business. And it's really a huge barrier to going anywhere or, actually getting stuff done. So this is kind of a more in-depth question. So goal setting and how it is related to personal or social expectations. Goal setting and perfection don't necessarily equate to one another. A goal is simply something that you're trying to achieve. My website is done enough. My dinner is done. That's a goal. My goal is I'm going to walk around the block, or I'm going to walk a mile today. So goal setting is one thing. It doesn't have to be the same thing as setting yourself up for perfection. Goals are really good things when they're done correctly, because it gives us something to strive for, and it gives us something to work towards. And as long as it's something that is, achievable, somewhat realistic, measurable, something that you can do, goals are an amazing tool. But when you take that goal and you elevate it to an unobtainable level, that's when goals start to be a problem, because then we're setting ourselves up for failure and we can't possibly succeed. And it's really tough because, we in business want to do the best we can, but the pursuit of perfection is absolutely a distraction from doing and becoming and making sales in our business or achieving happiness in our life, right? And I'm actually reading a book right now about happiness, and it actually shows that in order to perform well, first you need to be happy, and then go do the thing, and you're much more likely to be able to do the thing. So doing something to achieve happiness is not necessarily going to yield the outcome that you want. First, find happiness, and then go after the goal. And, the pursuit of perfection is just a distraction. In Meg's case, that pursuit of perfection drove her crazy for 4 weeks. Once she kind of had that epiphany in the middle of the night, she was able to do that amazing book review. And, it was such a beautiful homage to our friend. And it was wonderful, because once you let go of that notion of being completely perfect and not making any mistakes, and that it is just absolutely going to be amazing, things get so much easier. Happy is truly the key to a lot of things. So if you really stop trying to be perfect and really start pursuing happiness, perfection and achievement tend to follow. And also a distraction and diverts from happiness. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So if you focus on the happiness and the enjoyment and the small things first, and really doing the small things first and doing the basics, everything else in life and in business tends to follow. And it's one of the things that I really focus on in my mastermind is a lot of times it's getting the foundations and the basics in place in your business. It's not necessarily about having the most WYSIWYG website. It's about having a basic foundation and a platform to build your business on, that you're talking to people so that you can actually have somebody to sell your product or service to. Because if you don't have a product or service and you don't have somebody to sell it to, then you don't have a business, right? So you've got to get into that mindset of, okay, I know it's not going to be perfect. I know it may not be elegant, but let's go find a way. And you can do it. And Laura says, finding happiness is a journey and getting there isn't linear. Yes and no. I would say happiness is an initial state, and other things tend to follow from it. Chasing happiness tends to actually make us really unhappy. It's kind of an interesting thing that if we're chasing happiness and we're not focusing on the happy and the pleasure and the enjoyment in the current moment, and focusing on the happy in the exact moment, we're going to drive ourselves nuts. And one of those ways that we make ourselves very not happy is by trying to be perfect and setting ourselves up for failure and really sabotaging ourselves because we're not doing the things that we need to do for our own happiness, for our own joy, for our own pleasure. It's really interesting. The studies very much are showing now that if you can find happiness and that you take joy in what you're doing, everything else follows. And I see it myself. You know, sometimes it's, you know, enjoying the now moments and focusing on the here and now and the simple pleasures. So for me, it might be walking and seeing birds or seeing the beavers out playing out at on one of the walking trails that we go to. Or it is just simply enjoying pranking somebody today, and, you know, having some fun with that and laughing until I cried. You know, but it's finding enjoyment in the moment and really taking that moment to enjoy those things, because when you find that you take a step back and you are enjoying the moments and, you know, where you are in this exact second, you're going to see that you really do ever so much better in there. Yeah, I think the key is to have joy that lasts even when things are hard, because happiness takes a lot of work just for a moment. Yeah, it does, you know, and it can be really, really hard to be happy and to be grateful and to find enjoyment in a situation that is difficult at best, right? And mindfulness is part of it, Laura, but mindfulness is a piece of it. It's really that bringing joy and experiencing and consciously choosing joy in every single little step that you're doing, and making a point of enjoyment, and finding pleasure in every single little step rather than trying to focus on the big picture all at once, which can be really overwhelming and really kind of terrifying and really kind of frightening. And thank you, Irene. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your kind words. You know, so, and I know that like Aida has been through like a ton of challenges in the last little bit, you know, which she can choose to share, but it's even when you're going through that stuff, finding little tiny bits of joy during each day, finding things that we can be grateful for can be really hard. You know, I've been through some really crazy stuff. Our family's been through a lot of really crazy stuff in the last little bit, and really, really tough stuff. And sometimes it's that finding little bits of joy, little bits of happiness. For me, one of my little bits of happiness is Starbucks and Dr. Pepper, and dark chocolate, you know, but it's finding that joy in little things and a hot bath. So, you know, finding those little bits of joy, making yourself happy, stop trying to be perfect. And it's amazing how life and business tends to flow from there. That when it comes from a place of joy and it comes from a place of happiness, rather than a sense of obligation and gritting your teeth and doing it just because you think you have to, it is, you know, it is just such a nicer place to come from. So one of the things that I tend to do on a lot of my lives is that I do an oracle card pull from my Love Your Inner Goddess deck. So if you guys will tell me which card you would like pulled, I will be happy to do that. And hey, Beth, I love your comments here. I'm hopping over under my personal profile because it doesn't show over on StreamYard. Beth did a beautiful job, and it was so much from her heart. So if you guys would like a card pulled, let me know which card you would like me to pull. And Meg says she would like number 7, please. And we will go from there. So Laura, Meg's review of Beth's book came from her heart, and it was a beautiful review, and it was absolutely lovely. And you can find Meg's channel over at Look What Meg Found at YouTube. And if you'll do her a favor and hit the subscribe button, it will be most amazing. Aida says number 8. Beth says card number 3. So do we have any other takers for cards? Laura says perhaps intuitively pull a card. I can do that. I'm going to pull the top card for you, Laura. It is Black Diamond. You have a powerful spiritual journey to take this lifetime. It is not always easy to take this path. However, you are a wisdom bearer. You are one of the precious ones who is not destroyed by dark experiences in life, but is rather able to find wisdom and empowerment through overcoming them. You've done it before, and you will do it again now. As your soul becomes powerful through the pressures she has survived, you'll be able to rise to even greater challenges, but they will feel easier for you than before. You are unstoppable. You have every right to feel bold and joyful about what life holds for you next. So I'm going to pull one for Beth, which is 3. Ooh, I don't think I've seen this one before. Beth, this one is for you. It's safe to let things unfold as they will. You don't need to fix things nor try to force something to happen. The universe is already working things out for you. There's no need to question your vision or your intuition just because situations are working out differently to how you thought they would. The universe is a little bent and certainly has a sense of humor, but ultimately it is kind and knows the best way to accomplish all that needs to happen. You are very much part of this. All things will come together in the correct way at the best time. The universe has your back. Trust that you are being helped. Okay, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Meg, this one's for you. This one is Tribe of the Kindred. Home is where the heart is. Give your heart permission to reveal to you the people, places, and activities that feel like home for you. You are in a phase of transition in your life, casting off that which is not true to your heart in favor of that which really feels like it belongs in your world. Sometimes the mind resists, thinking that if we let go of too much, we'll be left with nothing, and that it's better to hold on even if something isn't right. This prevents you from being able to find your way home. It's safe to trust your heart as it attracts into your world that which is truly meant for you. And Aida, this one's for you. 20. Daring Dreamer. You don't need to adjust your dreams to fit in with what others say is realistic, sensible, or practical. Why seek to limit the power of the universe with negative expectations? Be uncompromising with your heart wisdom. Listen to what it wants and yearns for, and believe that the universe has put those desires there and will show you every step to take to fill them. Do not allow someone else to make you feel like you should change who you are or what your heart truly yearns for. Not even a tiny bit, not even for one single second. Absolutely. One cannot pour from a empty cup. Card 6. That's 8, 7, 6. Got you, Kimberly. And it's actually kind of funny. I thought I got number 6 there for a second, but I didn't. Here we go. So this is card number 6 for Kimberly. You are encouraged to say yes to new opportunities and adventures, ideas, and connections, especially the ones that fill your heart with a sense of excitement, perhaps just before your mind begins to dwell on doubts and concerns, trying to talk you out of something before you even give it a chance. You can handle the unfamiliar better than most. Once you get your bearings, you'll find a way to thrive, to enjoy what you discover and experience. Let the yearning of your soul to explore the new and exciting inspire you. The unfamiliar and the unknown hold great blessings for you. Open yourself up to new horizons. And that, my friends, I hope has been fun for you guys. Just remember, you need to take care of yourself. The more you take care of yourself, Start being yourself. Nobody else is youer than you. You are going to be amazing. I hope you have an awesome night. We will talk soon, and take care. Bye-bye.